Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Saeed David Foreman, Los Angeles, 5D event, September 26. The time for punctuation, 6:11 and plus 2. And the reason we are here tonight in Los Angeles Holiday Inn, 5D event, to investigate how we can raise our consciousness and global consciousness from third dimension to fifth dimension. Please have a seat. Welcome. And the best part of this event, you could call it this panel. Why? Because the most fabulous and intriguing minds of the consciousness, such as Dr. Susan Shumsky, we salute you, made it to Los Angeles from trip, and Gordan, Asher, Davidson, and Larry Hunter, after 20 years of research in Egypt, 40. And Mr. Stephen Linsteadt and Laura Eisenhower, all of you, and such a great stars. I'm honored to be in front of all of you, and it's a great pleasure to have the audience here. After 6 months, we didn't have an event until now, after survival of humanity. So basically, this panel is about how average Joe in the street, he should exercise his consciousness to move from a daily life, from a TV job and a family and low income and pressure, and like all of us going through, even with higher income, we are under pressure. So that kind of pressurized chamber of daily life, especially in big cities like Los Angeles or other cities in the US or overseas. Some of the streamers are overseas. We welcome you. Thank you so much. So this global question is why people are not jumping to higher consciousness, why they're so dimmed down, what is it stopping them? So the panel will investigate and introduce new ideas that they have learned themselves. That's how they raise their consciousness to the fifth. All of these, ladies and gentlemen, in front of you, we're all in fifth dimension, fluctuating back and forth. So to third to fifth like this. An average Joe does not have the neurons or connections or experience to have the idea what he should do to be free, his mind free, his heart free, and we should understand and explain to people what is fifth dimension, consciously, not cosmically. Cosmically, hello. So we start with Larry. Larry, what is fifth dimension to you? Larry Dean Hunter, ladies and gentlemen. He's on.
Fifth dimension as opposed to 3. Wow. You know, they kept this whole 5D sort of a secret from even us, because I can ask Eric, what is the reason you chose 5D for this title of the conference? And he says, well, something about 3D to 5D, and he didn't give an answer, did he? You were sitting there with us. But listening to you and what you just went through, I can appreciate it and lock on to about what I'm going to say now. So I'm discovering the title of 5D, what it means. In a 3D world, we're tracked. We're born, little girls will be pink, little boys will be blue, you'll doctor, and life is sort of laid out for us in a 3D format. But say you've got a job you just hate, but you see something across the street, oh, I'd love to be doing that. But you can't, because your job you got because of your family, they put you there, and you can't just freely go over and do something you like. And that's hard to break from that ceramic mold that sort of each of us are encapsulated egos by mother, father, grandfather, I like, I don't. All these things are, I say, the limits on human potential. So to go to 5D, I had to put into my head, we have unlimited human potential.
Wow. I like that.
We do. But the system, really, they're afraid of that unlimited potential because it is the potential that transforms societies. When did we have the let's say, just technology that brings us up to the 21st century where we are now? it's just been one development after another, steam engines, trains, planes, rockets, you know what I'm saying. But in my format, I got sort of stuck on the Great Pyramid. And that's like, well, that isn't normal. What does it do? It doesn't make you any money. But in the process of studying it and amalgamating with an object that really is a lot of thoughts from a lot of people from an ancient time. But to see it, I had to break from the paradigm of the understanding that it's a tomb or this. So when you go from 3D to 5D, you really go out there on a limb all by yourself. I mean, it's nice that you can sit and talk about it, and everybody says, wow, that's really interesting. 6 boys got killed? You know, the presentation that we went through the other night, that's just the details of the transformation. In life, I can just say to you is by the moment, wake up, and there's some things that we have to do by this discoveries that we're having. It's not just for our personal entertainment. These are real things that can affect all of humanity if we can grasp it. So I want to give it back. They'll be hating me for talking too much.
No. We need everybody's. We go as much as we can. Mr. Asher Davidson, David, may I ask you same question? What is 5D to you?
For me, the fifth dimension is a state of consciousness and being where you are free, as we've said, that you no longer are governed by the subconscious drives and fears and issues that govern so many people's lives. And that's really very, very important, not to be controlled by that any longer. And it's also a result of the infusion of a tremendous amount of higher frequency and light and energy coming into our being from our soul, from higher dimensions of our being, even beyond fifth dimension, but that's pouring into the planet. And it's developing the vehicle, yourself, the channel, to be able to receive that energy and work with it and use it and allow it to flow through you, which will alter your DNA, absolutely, which controls your health, which controls everything. And it will also allow you to integrate that light and that love in such a way that everything flows through. Your highest vision for your life, for yourself and the world flows through you. You can manifest it and you can unfold it because you've aligned your subconscious with your conscious self and your highest self, all those dimensions of your being, because we are multidimensional. And it's bringing all those multiple dimensions into full alignment that allows you to enter 5D.
Okay. We going from Gordan, my mistake, sorry. Gordan, Asher, Davidson, to Dr. Susan Shumsky. Welcome to 5D event. Thank you.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm so glad to be here with you. So we're talking about higher consciousness here. So most people are living in 3 states of consciousness. The waking state, as we are right now, hopefully, unless somebody back there is in the sleeping state, I don't know. We have waking, dreaming, and sleeping. Those are the 3 states of consciousness. And then there's a 4th state of consciousness, and that's called Turiya, which means the 4th in Sanskrit, Turiya, which is transcendental consciousness. Now that state of consciousness is a state where you are in the experience of perfection, wholeness, oneness, where you are awake inside, you're awake, but you're experiencing unbounded awareness. So your experience is of limitlessness, of wholeness, of infinite joy, infinite peace. And you're feeling really good. I mean, it's a state where the little I, the ego, has expanded to the big I, which is called Atman in Sanskrit. So you're in that state of perfect peace. And that's really a blessed state to experience. Now beyond that state, we could call the 5th state of consciousness. And in that state, we are in the state of transcendental consciousness while being active at the same time. So even while we're walking around, even while we're working, even while we're conversing with others, even while we are perhaps experiencing emotional states that we don't think of as the highest or higher, even if we are feeling emotions that are not necessarily the most positive ones, yet still we are in that state of beingness, of wholeness, of transcendental awareness. And that is actually possible. It sounds like a paradox, it sounds like it's impossible, but in fact that is a true level of consciousness that we can attain.
Actually, that's a state that rishis, gurus, and masters, and many other practitioners in that field, they experience, right?
Right, and they call that cosmic consciousness.
As they walk, nothing changes their state. Even the world go up and down, they're same being, right. Very steady and consciously.
Right, Lord Krishna talks about it in the Bhagavad Gita when his disciple Arjuna asks him to describe the state of a person who is enlightened, who has attained moksha, which means freedom. And in fact, it's funny because Arjuna asks Lord Krishna, well, how does that person walk? How does he talk? How does he act? And Lord Krishna ignored that whole idea of how he talks, walks, and acts, because that has nothing to do with it. You cannot judge a person's level of consciousness based upon what they do, what they say, what their actions are, how they dress, or anything like that. You can only base that. The only way for a person to judge, shall we say, who's in cosmic consciousness and who isn't, you can't. Only the person themselves can know whether they are in a state of evenness of mind, of inner quietude and perfection, even while active, even while doing all kinds of things in the world. And that would be true liberation.
I've had that few times in deep meditation. It's just total bliss. And
yes, bliss. That's what it's like.
Yeah, bliss. Thank you so much. God bless. What do you think?
Well, I will use a combination of the Hopis and the Sufis. And I think of it this way, that the Hopis have a tradition of spirit otter. And spirit otter invites us to jump into the spring of our heart and to swim upstream into the ocean of God's smile. So I think the stream is our 3 dimension and God's smile is the 5th dimension.
God's smile?
The ocean of God's smile.
Ocean of God. You're so poetic. I love it. Mr. Stephen Linsteadt has a great newsletter. I recommend everybody subscribe. How do they subscribe to news?
At scalarheartconnection.com,
Yeah.
There's a button there to sign up for the newsletter, and you get a letter from your heart every Sunday.
It made my day happy, few of them. Thank you. Thank you for sending me. Laura Eisenhower.
Okay, so the way I sort of see it, knowing that we've been dealing with somewhat manipulative forces for quite some time on the planet, it's a chance for us to really liberate our DNA from things like ethereal implants, from real kind of implants, from artificial timelines, and all the control agendas out there. And what it enables us to do is sort of expand beyond that, because when we shine light on our unconscious energy and it becomes conscious energy, we're able to perceive more than what we've been thrown and what we've been given. And so during this window period, we're given the opportunity to, I guess you could say, transverse or knock down these artificial timelines by refusing the control systems and all the different things that, make it very difficult for a person to feel a sense of liberation. And so when we see people walking around, we might wonder, well, how come they're not getting it and so many people are? And I almost see like the light codes just going right by their head and the mind control going right there instead. And it's like, okay, they've sort of made the matrix their oxygen tank compared to being a sovereign, free, multidimensional being, which is available right now. But everybody has their own wake-up calls and their own events that they manifest for themselves to break those bonds. And so to me, the fifth dimension is, recognizing the power of spirit and how that holds dominion over matter. And that's what the alchemy is, and that's what the Venus transits have been all about, which the Mayans understood. And so the 5D timeline actually did get hijacked, but it's the warrior energy of so many of us that said, I don't think so. I think when we hear things about Ebola or some of the propaganda out there, where people are like, did you hear this prediction, or this terrible thing's going to happen, or, there's something that starts to spread like a virus, on social media about some event that's going to happen. They need us to buy into it. They need our creative energy to be invested in it for it to even work. That's why a lot of these memes end up sort of dissolving and not going anywhere, because our consciousness is at enough of a level to be able to counteract this sort of stuff as an override frequency, which connects to the 13th gate and a lot of the Lion's Gate and all these different events that have been happening. And so I feel like we got the 5D timeline back, but it's on a level that is so different than what it would have been, because now we recognize the self-responsibility that it takes and the awareness that it takes to be able to override that stuff we were all born into. And so our DNA connects to the stargates on Earth, and as we work with the Earth energies, it's sort of a give and take and a co-creation. We're able to continue this process. Dimension 5 was known as Tara before Atlantis and Lemuria sank. So as we revisit this 5D energy and we restore the Atlantean and Lemurian right-left brain balance of the masculine and feminine, then we're pretty much home free. And that's why there's so much importance about sacred union and the balance of the masculine and feminine as being probably the safest energy that we can connect with in order to protect ourselves and shield ourselves from any further attack. But I think no matter what we hear in the news, it's kind of all laughable at this point, because you always have somebody ready to bust it down, because there's too many people that can see through the BS. And it looks like a lot more people are gravitating towards that sort of news than actually buying into the stories or the facades or the memes that could potentially bring on any destruction or harm. And we're over that hump. So
Could you expand on that in your lecture or workshop tomorrow?
Oh, I'm doing it. When am I doing that?
About what you just mentioned. Could you talk about that in your workshop?
Yeah, what time is my workshop?
Tomorrow we have Laura at, I think, tomorrow a lot of you guys are, Dr. Shumsky, you have a
Okay, anyway,
9 o'clock?
I will be talking about it. It's a huge part of my presentation.
Tomorrow, thank you. Tomorrow we recommend you guys come early, because it's a conclusion of our energies. Invite your friends. Tell them to come and see me. If it's financial issue, bring him over. We wanted the whole Los Angeles show up, but there's a lot of mind control and other events, and it's a lot of stuff going on that people have fears even leaving their couch. It's like, hey, I'm going to see. I'll be safer here. Come on. Yeah, they're in 1D. I'm sorry? Okay, 11. So we start at 7 a.m. meditation. So if you wake up 5 a.m., eat your breakfast 6, and join us for meditation 7, and you're at 9 o'clock. Okay, sounds great. I won't miss that. So, Annelise, what do you think?
Well, to build on what all of these amazing people have already said, thank you so much, because it's about laying a groundwork and really understand what's happening intellectually, but really dropping our seeking and understanding and just feeling what we already are. You already are a powerful, eternal, multidimensional being. So now it's about integrating that into the world. So now that we know what's going on that's wrong, and we can remember who we really are, so we're empowered, and the way to be empowered is to be peaceful, to stop beating ourselves up. And once we change the frequency in our mind, the hologram outside changes, right? When we change our minds, the world outside changes. Reality is changing because we're changing. So it's not that people can't get the firing in their neurons to understand intellectually what's happening. It's that when we integrate it into our lives, it ripples out into all of our relationships, whether it's with a spiritual person who understands what we're talking about or not, because we're moving, even our spirituality is evolving into one of full acceptance. And we're not here to suppress our feelings or say that we've risen beyond certain emotions, but to really honor what we're feeling and honor the pain that we've been through so that we can really heal, so that we can express and share, and that helps others overcome their shame around what they've been through, and it ripples out because we accept each other, we forgive each other, and we love whatever arises.
Exactly.
So no matter what is happening,
Thank
we
you.
gotta love it.
And you know, this is a revolution in consciousness.
Right.
What's happening right now, and especially between us. Right, Eric? It is.
Definitely. It's now.
Yeah. And would you like to be in the panel? And don't fidget, huh? Don't. It will be.
Yeah, so world peace begins with personal peace, okay? That's the point. When you empower yourself to remember who you are, you're empowered because you're peaceful. When you're peaceful, you're not afraid, you're not confused, and you're not in scarcity, and you can't be controlled. So love is the strongest force in the universe. So let's get empowered to remember who we really are. We're not victims of circumstance or our genes. We can take control of our health,
Right on.
our finances. We can start growing gardens, really connecting with our communities and creating and implementing solutions. And if there is, something's going down, then we're going to be the survivors, So either way, it's fine. There's nothing to be afraid of. We're here to overcome fear. None of this stuff you need to be afraid of. When awakened beings can overcome anything, right? So like Eric said, with the power of God behind us.
And the world is watching us.
Source.
You know, you go out, Europeans. Hello. I'm saying, I don't know about Egyptians. I don't know about Egyptians, but I went to Middle East. Even Middle East keep looking at us, the movies, the music. Now they will look at consciousness sooner or later. And China, after feeding their stomach with brand new Mercedes and big screen TVs and $1,000 jeans, now they're looking for other things in life. Pretty soon they will catch up with the reality they're facing in life, that finance was not what humanity was looking for. Actually, we were more miserable when we had a lot of money in our pocket. So there's a balance in life. You don't take too much and you don't give too much. So there's a balance. If you catch that balance in your life, you'll be a happy person. Don't expect too much and don't give too much, but in a respectfully, a balanced way of living. So we all benefit from each other. That's why we are hoping more people catch on fire with consciousness. And it's the hardest thing to push. You can push a football game, you can push drinking, a bunch of guys get together and they're all... I'm talking, sir. I'm talking, sir. I'm the panel host. You don't want to hear me? I'm sorry, when you're speaking, I don't tell you, can you shut up and let the others speak? I understand. Yeah, if you have to go, leave, because I'm walking a path to get there, Thank you. Thank you. Have a good evening. Thank you. If anybody want to interfere in this business, please don't, because... Yeah, love, fine, but if they want to shut somebody talking...
There's always a way to communicate effectively. You can always... people might part ways, but there's always an option to part in peace.
I'm part of the panel,
This is
too.
part of the fifth dimension, is learning how to communicate, to forgiving each other, not getting triggered. That's huge.
Yeah,
both of you got triggered, and look what
we
happened.
had mind control a few nights ago on Agenda 21. You weren't here?
Yeah, let's talk about that afterwards. Why don't you ask another question, or let's hear
I
from
want to go
someone
to
else.
Amor.
Everyone just smile. Yeah, there you go. Some teeth. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so thankful to be able to share the experience of what 5D is. Interestingly, I was born as love light. My name is Amor Luz. I guess I must have known what was happening and what my path was going to be. And everyone here is right. Everyone. And what's being said on this panel, and what you're all thinking and feeling and analyzing and judging, and Earth was made and created exactly for this. So you already have been in the 5D. You've been in the 6D. You're also in the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th. But there's also a part of you that's choosing to experience the 3D. And there's nothing wrong with the 3D. It's perfect. Because it gives you the chance to be a shithead, an asshole. You could have this agenda and that agenda, and you can fight about it, and you can figure it out, and then you can work it out, and you can discuss it, and then you can have one opinion, and then you can have that opinion. And hey, free will of choice! Woohoo!
Right.
That's what this planet is about, 3D.
Right.
But so is 5D, and 5D is that beginning, that portal to all that is. There's nothing wrong. It's just you're a multidimensional being. You can switch. You're constantly shifting. Right now, as I look at each and every one of you, you're all shifting in and out of 1D, 2D, 5D, 12D, 7D, 6D, 5D, 12D. Whoa, you're all bouncing off the walls. So 5D, we're in it, and we have connection to it, and everybody here is right, and we're going to resonate with exactly what we need.
That's right.
And that's just a little bit. And I have to say, I'm very thankful to the Lords of the Akashic Record. They're part of the group of the Time Lords. They're part of this amazing, we could call them non-physical realm. Everybody's Akashic records are open here. It gives us the opportunity to share those gifts.
Yeah, you have to respect each other,
Yeah.
and we share things. If you want to shut the other guy down and don't let him talk, if I shut Alan down and don't let him talk, then it's very rude you attack a host in a panel. But anyway. Go ahead.
And it's all a matter of what we choose to think and believe and feel and interpret.
Exactly.
That is. And you're perfect.
We're developing something, right?
Everybody has that, and there's going to be people in here that are going to choose to agree with you or disagree with you, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what we're here to do.
Yeah,
we blend that.
We're not pushing anybody.
Together.
We're just having a discussion about what's good for the planet, us and other people. And if somebody doesn't like it, they can leave. And anybody want to join us, welcome. So from you, please go to Fruzsina, if you would, with the same question. It smells? Okay.
So, thank you. And it's an honor to be sitting here with you all and getting to know you, because many of you I actually haven't even met. But I feel like I've known you for thousands of years at the same time. So, thank you. That's awesome. Yes.
Fruzsina, why don't you relax the whole with one of those 1, 2, 3.
I just would like, we already done it all, so I'd like everyone to take a deep breath, take it all in, and then exhale. Yes, feels good, right? One more time, let's do it. Inhale, and then exhale down. Beautiful. Third time's a charm. Let's do it one more time. Inhale, and exhale down. Beautiful. Thank you. I would like to remind you that we are all reflections of each other. And in my understanding, 5D is seeing the world through the eyes of the source. And when you're capable of doing that, and we are all capable of doing that, when we can remind ourselves that where we came from and where we're going, we can raise our consciousness in a tremendous amount of way and remind ourselves who we truly are. And as all of us already share this, we're all talking about the same exact thing. It's just we have to remember who we are and see each other as gods and as goddesses. And there's a wonderful movie I want to mention, 3 Magic Words, and actually Susan was in the movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. It is actually helping you to remind yourself who you are and tap into that if you ever feel lost. I've watched it 10,000 times, and I always get a new message out of it besides its actual message. But the remembering is what we are here for. It's very hard to be on Earth. It's very dense. There's lots of things going on. And it's the angels, the hierarchy of light, whom I'm working with on a daily basis. They're honoring us for being here. They know how hard it is to be in this dense society that we chose to be in. But we chose that, right? We chose to be here in this time and space reality. And we chose to remember and help others to remember. So if we can do that, we can shift, we can make a shift, we can make a change, and we are doing it already. We just constantly have to remind ourselves, because it's not easy. But that's why we're here for each other. So just 3 magic words. Number 3,
On
magic
Google,
words.
the 3 magic
You can Google it. It used to be on Netflix for several years, and now it is actually available probably on Amazon, and if you just Google it, probably on YouTube at this point. Many, many amazing people are in it, from Susan to Neil Donald Walsh, and many other. I couldn't even list all the people. Michael Perlin is the director and producer, and Gudni Gudnason, and actually myself, I'm also an assistant producer in it.
Yeah,
But
I saw a few things on Facebook on that. I watched a trailer. Yeah.
mhm. It is.
Let's Google it.
Google it.
Well, hold on.
In any case, we just have to make sure that everyone is able to watch it on YouTube. Probably it's on YouTube already, so no worries.
Google 3 magic word movie. Yeah, it comes the whole movie. 3 magic words movie.com. All right, watch now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Holly Cook.
Okay, so the 5D to me is a little different. I'm not really sure I'm all on board of we're going to ascend and we're going to leave Earth. I'm also not a big Bible reader, but the Bible says it's heaven creating heaven on earth. And to me, the 5D is about always having that ability to look through your heart, no matter what situation arises to you. Right before I got here, my house almost blew up from this crazy gas leak. And we had no hot water. I couldn't cook. I couldn't do the dishes. I couldn't do laundry. And, so the whole time I'm running around, but I still felt my heart center was very happy. And I feel like the more we can build up our heart center, the more we'll be able to break down the barriers that separate us. I feel like it's really about deprogramming everything that we've been taught from generations, from media, from our teachers, even our healers. It's about deprogramming all of that and becoming our own sovereign story, and really having that ability to constantly be in that heart energy.
Exactly. The system constantly monitor us, our kids especially. One thing we found out in this country, because I have 5 kids, I follow them all everywhere in what they've been doing. Every second of their life, every kid in this country is monitored 24/7. There is a program, we will talk about it later, but that's a very sad situation for our kids in the future, because they want to hold them down under a matrix, and influence it with their programs, with fluoride, with the chemtrails, with wireless in their pocket, and every time that I'm texting and playing. They throw it from your cell phone, somebody's cell phone, maybe mine. So go ahead.
So yes, it's really about that deprogramming, and I feel like as we all heal ourselves in every aspect of ourselves, our mental, our emotional, our physical, and our energetic, I feel like that's reaching the 5D. Because when we stop feeding into what we're fighting, it can no longer exist.
Wait, what was the last one?
I feel like when we no longer feed into what we're fighting, it can no longer exist.
That's a big topic.
So, I mean, there's a lot of fear out there, like the entities, this, that, whatever. And it's like, well, if you feed that, that's exactly what you get.
Don't have
if
fear.
If you think you're going to, and I can tell you,
fear.
The cell phone people aren't taking your thumbprint because I overloaded it with all the texting I do. They are fingerprinted out, the cell phone. But I mean, if you play into that fear, but as soon as you just make that sovereign decision, it doesn't affect me, and you take the precautions to detoxify yourself from everything that they're bombarding you with, I mean, you create this whole level of freedom, and that's when the doors open. And it's like a chess game, and you just keep navigating through it. And it becomes easy to me. And to all of us. We all have that ability. We just have to
Rise up.
Make that decision.
Consciously, yeah. Thank you. That was really interesting. Alan.
So, very good. So I'm going to take a different approach than I normally would to define 5D. So we all have a physical, we know that, but we also have a non-physical. Whether you know it or use it or not, every single one of us has a non-physical self that's part of your immortal self, part of the infinite self, part of the connected to all self. You know, so the non-physical is all one. Every animal in nature is more non-physical than they are physical. The spirit of the animals are in a non-physical self. They're all connected through this collective consciousness, and that's where we're going, into this galactic consciousness, this universal consciousness. You know, so what's happening with this transition is the non-physical self that's been up here, part of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, that priests won't tell you about, is that each one of us is that Trinity. We all have a Father, Son, and a Holy Spirit. And the merging of the non-physical to the physical 3D self is that fifth dimensional transformation. You know, so now is a unique time when the guff of all the non-physical spirits that have, you know, had enough of physical meat body existence is starting to clear and empty. It's a strange occurrence that I can barely describe. We'll know the effects of it soon. But our non-physical selves that are the immortal, all-knowing, connected version of our higher selves is being pulled into our hearts, and you know, and bypassing the brain. The brain is kind of a dark space. There's a lot of darkness that comes when we're stuck in the brain. That's why from school they force you to use your brain entirely and get locked into the brain zone of logic and rigidity and, you know, that physical fixed space, where when you pull into the heart, you're in a place of connected, all-knowing self. You know, it goes beyond the Akashic record into being able to tap into the knowledge of all of non-physical. And that's like timeless. So so the fifth dimension, the fourth dimension is the experience of time and timelessness. So third dimension is where time exists. Going into the fifth dimension is when time is a non-factor. It's timing matters, but the actual time we're outside of. And I think that's a place where magic starts to happen. You know, we're seeing more and more instant manifestations happening because people realize that they can bypass the waiting for something and manifest from that fifth dimensional light space immediately, with time not being a factor. There it is, what you've been waiting for. and being able to teleport is also part of that. Being able to peer outside of the window of our normal accepted third-dimensional reality is, I think, the gift that is part of our birthright.
Correct. How'd you like that? Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, do you guys think we should create a community with 5D people and separate ourselves, or we should stay with public and get attacked? Constantly attacked by, huh?
It's contrast. It's fun being attacked. Yeah, exactly.
It's a big challenge. Who want to answer that?
If we continue to see it as attacked, if we continue to put labels on it as bad, good, we're going to stay in 3D. There comes a point where you start to see everything as divine. We are all God humans. We exist. When I said everything here is right, it's not whether it's right or wrong. It's our knowing. So that knowing always teaches us where to go. So if we're going to need to find out more of what's right and wrong, what's going to separate us, we're going to go with those people. And we're going to co-create that reality. One more time. The beginning of 5D is what you're creating with your belief, with your thought, with your feeling, with your genetics, with everything. You're creating. This is 5D. You're already creating as you think. That's basically it. Thank you.
Nice. Thank you.
Then to add to that is no matter where you are, there you are, and you're obviously supposed to be there because that's where you're at, and so it's all perfect. The way to be in peace around it is to remember who you really are, see the big picture. Once you start seeing the big picture, you realize that self-love is the path to self-mastery. Once you're aware that it's all about love, then you start trusting the universe, and you see that existence is perfect, that everything that's put in your path is designed for your spiritual evolution, for your highest growth, that every challenge and obstacle is really a gift. So then you can start taking responsibility for your life, personal and collective responsibility. So then all of a sudden you really care, you realize how quantum physics works, that we're creating everything with our thoughts, words, actions, and feelings. And we start steering the ship away from the proverbial ice cube together, no matter where we are. And we're following our hearts. If you want to go live in a community, go live in a community. Get on the earth, get barefoot, and start growing food. We don't need more drugs, more solutions. We need to get back to the earth. The earth is where all the information and that's where all the answers lie. Just get barefooted. You'll get grounded, anti-inflammatory. Then you're receiving the codes that the earth is experiencing at the same time as our ascension. The earth is going through it with us and releasing like this information as we grow. So hug a tree and follow your heart. Take responsibility for your life. You're responsible for your suffering and for your happiness. Practicing gratitude, forgiveness, compassion, being fully present in this moment. There are no problems in the present moment. And that's how we get out of space-time, is by being present all the time. And knowing how to take care of our bodies, fully honoring these beautiful temples through which we experience the divine, so that we can reclaim our sexuality and our health care and remember who we really are as these beautiful divine beings. When we look in each other's eyes, we see that we're all just reflecting God to each other. So the fifth dimension's beautiful, and it starts right now, and it's always been. So welcome home to yourself. I love you.
I think the minute we, do drop the judgments, everything starts to change because, miracles and synchronicities, it doesn't matter if you're, dealing with city life, if you're traveling the world, if you're, just waking up in your own house or in your neighborhood. Our frequency and vibration makes all the difference to the type of experience we have. And I got to test this out a lot, living on the road and being in the field of wilderness expedition leadership, where you could immediately see the instant manifestations in front of you based on whatever you were holding on to. And this isn't, that far-fetched. It's our experience. And so just like everybody, what they mentioned, we get everything that we could possibly need. And when we understand that life is the real teacher and we don't need the guru, we don't need to put anybody on a pedestal, and we can start to recognize the lessons that are in every moment and live a spiritual path from the minute we wake up to the minute we fall asleep at night by just being conscious of our relationships, our relationship with ourself, our basic health, and turn our lifestyle into what our spiritual values and ideals are, then we're taking care of our side of the street. And I'm all about not really having to fix or transform everything. I think everybody has enough intelligence within them to navigate their path, but if we can speak to a person's soul and heart and not to the programming and not call them sheeple and not create this us and them with the Illuminati or the sheeple, and start to say, hey, the Illuminati is our negative ego. They wouldn't exist unless we enabled it through certain behaviors that we've maybe gotten addicted to. And if we can stop saying the word sheeple and putting those asleep people like over there, and we could speak to their heart and soul, I recognize there's love everywhere. The customer service person might have moved mountains for me. The DMV person, might have said the sweetest thing and made my day. And it's like, why would I want to put them over there? Because then I'm living in duality. And so when you drop the duality and you live in unity consciousness, the lights turn on and you see nothing but the divinity within each individual. And when you talk to that, they can't really hold the programmings, and you start to have a much more authentic experience.
I think you're already in 7D, but we will follow you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add what you said so beautifully, and by adding something, I want to finish my Spirit Otter story. So when Spirit Otter invites us to jump into the spring of the heart and to swim upstream, you suddenly find that there are logs in that spring. Those are the obstacles, which are really the illusions of duality. And to overcome them means we have to overcome or swim over or under our fears, our judgments, our criticisms, our hates, all the things that keep us separate from each other, that keep us separate from our hearts, and certainly separate from God's smile. And then finally, once we've crossed in all those logs, and we're at the threshold of the ocean of God's smile, we have to take one final shower, because you can't just jump into God's pool without washing your feet first. And that shower is helping us to become 100% our true essence. So it's washing off what Alan was talking about, that residual of our mind. And then we can jump into the ocean and merge into it as pure spirit.
Stephen, you didn't answer my question.
Oh.
Should we create communities for 5D people next 5-10 years, or should we, this is a big element of future, or should we exist and push the 3D people with us coming up, or this at the present is a problem too? Is that why you left Los Angeles City and you're outskirts?
No, synchronicity sort of guides me from one city to the other. I've been all around the world. But I was trying to answer your question by bringing up the idea of duality. Yeah, and so our idea that we need to be separate is that duality. And I think the best thing we can do is to maintain our connection to heart consciousness and then be an example. Yeah.
Be leaders and lead, or
lead by our example.
Teachers
exactly.
and teach, or what? Or
right. Yeah, just
or healers and heal. Or
I want to tell you a story that was told to me, if you don't mind. A woman came up to me earlier this morning and she had gone to my presentation yesterday, and she got really excited about the concept of love and loving everybody, how we're all connected. And so she was walking down the streets of Hollywood. She said Vine and Hollywood. And she was just yelling out as loud as she could to everybody in the street, I love you, I love you, I love you. And she said it was so amazing that people started to stop and look at her, and they would just beam with this great smile, and they would just say, yeah, I love you too. And I'm like, man, you're just starting a whole new movement. So that's how we do it. Yeah.
If I may add to this as well, as many of us already said, love is the connection that brings us to 5D, and it can create a tsunami all around the world. So yes, we should, to answer your question, we need to reach as many people as possible, as soon as possible. And we need to be out there and beam your light, right? We have to beam our light every day in every action, with every breath we take. Because if we do it, many people will benefit from it, and those people will do the same. It's a ripple effect, it's a domino effect, and it's inevitable. And we just have to hold that light that we are. And we know we can do it. We're doing it now. I can feel it. So keep it up and shine even
answer.
brighter.
Thank you. Thank you.
I had to think an awful lot after every one of you spoken here. Wrap your head around that one. To me, it's the self and the guidance that we are praying for, or show me the way. I think the reason we pick up a book is to find something new, something that maybe I need, but then you read it, no, I don't need that. But right now I'm at my point in life where either I can believe in myself or let it go. Now, to take the self, when one awakes, everybody has the moments where they're awake to, I mean, when you leave one life and something steps in and maybe you all of a sudden, it's bumpy at first. But after years of it, where I've been to Egypt now, over 40 times in 35 years, and then I also have to come home and I have to go through the life drama and my mother growing old and passing away, and everyone has these things in front of them. But then there's that self-purpose. Why the heck am I here? And that one touches way deep, and it is in the heart. And it's like, all the electricity is here. It's not here. The strength to get up and go. Mind can control that energy like a rheostat. You know, calm down, woo, back, you know. It's, chemicals are created by thoughts. And I believe this, and it's our food. And our food is polluted, and our environments are polluted. So we're going to have polluted thoughts, maybe a little bit. We give our kids Prozac. We give them attention deficits, or because the teachers can't understand, they don't and are not interested in what you're trying to teach them. But back to the self. Now, I come down here to share myself with all of you. I don't care if there's 5 people here. That was enough for me to show up. Even 1, because God says, where 2 or more are gathered in my name, there also I am. And you guys, there's a bunch of you here looking for the answers to the self. Where are we? Where are we going? What is the future going to bring? Well, we have prophets that were years ago that would write books about things they saw in a future time. We are that future time. This is our story that they wrote about. We're going through it now. Yeah, and it's a big story that isn't finished yet. You have Sanskrit that has remnants of the civilizations of millions of years ago that tried to preserve that culture. And it's in Sanskrit, but like the profane, it didn't carry everything. But civilizations were born out of the Sanskrit that took that information and made a culture. India. And when you think of the world being destroyed, China has pyramids too. And when they're waking up now after the communist influence of many years not to have, they have. But they also have all these ancient ruins that go back to, I'm sure they want to know what life was before as well.
They covered the Grand Pyramid in China.
They didn't. The deluge did. The deluge of the Noachian flood, which really destroyed the whole world of 60 or more million years ago. This was what my presentation was on. But now you've got civilization going and going and going and going, and now we're in today. And what is the future promise? Well, somebody's, according to the scripture side, and I know you're not so much here, but they're words. I have a left and a right. And I'm love in the middle, because this is a positive, and I'm a negative, but love keeps us all together. But no, it's the truth. It's the strongest force, because it allows the opposites to come together and balance. But now, if I believe in myself, and I have the power to effectuate change, that's what this is really about. Do you believe the power of what we can do? Now, I know you know those stories, most of you, of the 100th monkey. Somehow he learns, and then everybody knows instantly. Well, that's like the internet. The internet is wow, it went viral. But those little virals are the 100th monkey. You know, we get virals on police brutality that the world is shocked. Why are you shocked? It goes on every day. But it hit the internet, and now it's not suppressed by mainstream media, but everybody hears. And it's affecting everybody all along. So now as we come up, the hourglass is at the bottom. So many grains have gone through, and there's not very many left. So we're at the culmination of an age. And when we look to this age, at the age, they're supposed to be looking for someone to guide us through it. Who is worthy of that position? Is it Obama? Is it Netanyahu? I mean, these are names that we're all aware of. And then we have Francis, which is the religious side. All these influences, really, that's what's got us into our hate and our fear and things. Those, to me, are not the teachers to guide me through this. They're not. But I know that maybe not in this room, 1 out of 4 people survive this cleansing that has to go through for humanity to come out on the other side. Because I read heavy documents, and it's just like, well, why would you do that, God, you know? But then when you look at the world, everybody has free will to change. If they don't want to change, then they don't go through. If they do, they go through. So it's a personal acknowledgement that you want to accept the way that's been directed. I mean, imagine if Moses came in here and had a conversation with us. How many would be affected by that? Would they follow him out? If Noah came in and says, come on, I got a boat and we're going to flood. You guys going to get with me? And same with Jesus. Everybody that came along with this guidance from the universe has been taken away from us as people. And me, I'm on a subject that I like to preach and think that the things I think are on the same level they are. So would I be afraid that they're going to try to kill me too? They did, but then they got caught and they didn't. And then I look to these ones and I say, look, if God wants me dead, I'll be dead. And I'm not going to walk in fear because what I think and do bothers you enough to where you want to kill me. When my time comes, I'm going. But believe in yourself. I mean, my whole life of building pyramids and doing research and energy wasn't to sell books. It was to give mankind the knowledge that he used to have as a source of power on the planet. But at the time that was being brought to the planet, we were coming from another part of the universe to bring that knowledge here and start civilization, which is on many, many planets around the universe. We're egotistical to think we're the only ones here, but the hard part is the atrophy of faculties is that all these thoughts we're getting, if you just look up at the sky at all the billions of stars, did you come from this one? Did you come from that one? But we're all brought here. And the gift of being a human being is to smell and taste and cry and feel without the awareness that you are a spiritual angel from another part of the universe. Life is the e-ticket to Disneyland to me. It's a gift to be here as a human being on planet Earth.
Larry, you know what? Me and you, we are manifestation of East and West. You lived in the East 40 years, and I lived in the West 40 years.
No, you're from Iran. You're from the East.
No, I'm reversing you. So you have a very interesting mindset, and the way you see East and West in the world. I thank you for your answer. Who want to add more? No, they need to talk. Yeah.
So very quickly, just going to community, being in this maybe New Age movement or movement of one, I've never heard so much separation in my life. I can't stand it. Everyone's preaching oneness. And then, it's, them. Should we create separate communities? I like where I'm at. I live in a very suburbia place. It's very 3D. And it's been a real adjustment period for me. And it keeps me in line and it keeps me strong. I know that if I'm truly coming from my heart, I don't care how hard the person is, how judgmental they are, how opposite they believe in me or from me. If I'm coming purely from the heart, there's no aggression back. It just flows. When I start to get negative feedback, it shows me that I have stepped into ego and out of heart. And I think that we need to be spread out as much as possible because it's growing our heart energy. It's growing our heart. It allows the other people around us to melt their barriers and create the ripple that these ladies are talking about. It's creating that tsunami.
Thank you.
Yes. So many words.
Yeah, isn't it?
My
This
goodness.
is 5D event, you know.
And it's-
You're coming to a different
That is
atmosphere.
Beautiful words, beautiful hearts. All of it is just absolutely wonderful and beautiful. I happen to be a person who actually started a community, an individual on the land, back to the earth community in 1978, called Sirius, after the star. And it's in Massachusetts, and it's been going ever since. It's still going very well. It's one of the most developed ecological centers in the country.
How many people?
There's about 40 people in the community and about 200 or 300 who live all around it. So it's quite a huge thing. And it's linked in with universities now. It's very active, and it's an educational center. So, and there are so many lessons about community that we can talk about. But what we've discovered is that the internal process that each person needs to go through in order to be able to be free enough to live out of that vision of love and harmony and peacefulness and joy and gentleness takes a tremendous amount of work.
It does, doesn't it?
We have to do ourselves. Nobody else can do it for us. The Galactics can't do it for us. Our friends can't do it for us. Our teachers can't do it. We have to do the work. And
Daily practice, right?
Daily practice, but a lot of it is very deep, actually coming to grips with what's inside of us. And we've been referring to this as the logs in the river and various references. It's really about the subconscious and the different parts of our subconscious who have very distinct and clear reactions and ideas and agendas about the way we should be, how to protect ourselves, how to be safe, all the ways that our subconscious. And we have to be able to learn how to dialogue and make a friend and an ally out of that part of ourselves and integrate that with our conscious self and with our soul, our higher being. That's, to me, what we discovered in living in community. But I want to take the idea of community and do something else with it, which is we on this planet have for a very long time had this thought form that we're Earth. We're this little isolated planet in the cosmos, humanity struggling along with its evolution, and maybe there's somebody else out there, but we don't think so, and we're so special and all that. That idea is being radically challenged. It's not only being challenged by more scientific evidence, it's being challenged by the experiences of more and more people all over the world who are having contact with other civilizations, either internally or directly. Observation and historically the records of all that are coming to light. That changes our position in the universe. We are no longer this unique, long-lost little planet all by ourselves. We are part of a bigger community. It's the community of galactic life. And we are part of that, and we're not separate from it. And that's what I have discovered, and I am deeply engaged with that larger community. And we are actually in the most significant historical period, in my view, that we have had on this planet. The birth of Christ, the flood, these things are important cycles. But the key of the cycle that we're in now is that we're coming to the culmination and completion of a karmic cycle. This is why we're having such tremendous chaos and upheaval. All of the horrible stuff that we see going on is part of a completion of karma. And is an allowing of people to go through what they need to go through to complete as much of karma as they possibly can. Because with this shift that I've been talking about, this huge wave of love that's going to pour onto this planet and totally change every one of us and everything on it, is also going to start, it's going to clear the karmic cycle. Those who are no longer able to work in love will not be here. We will have a whole new civilization with love present as the underlying energy. We will still be able to create karma, but because all the influences are the opposite of what we have now, which is everybody's being influenced to be as, greedy, selfish, mean, and nasty as they can possibly be, for the most part, by the cabal. Instead, the influence is going to be, how can I give? What can I contribute? How can we share? All of that. It's a complete reversal. So most of the karma that will be created will be positive karma. And those who still need to complete more karma, which they can't do in the current cycle, will be going to systems where they will be completely resonant with their own field, and they will have opportunities to continue their evolution in an environment that will be at the same frequency they need to complete their evolution. That's a pretty amazing system when you think about it. I mean, in terms of the foresight and the complexity and all the rest of it. But I believe that is a tiny little peephole into the mind and heart of God.
It looks like that.
I would say yes. I didn't know if he was going to keep on talking.
Well, I could, but I want to honor everybody.
It looks to me that you're very satisfied, you're happy with your community you built. And is that so?
Yes. It is a wonderful thing to look back at it and see that it's serving people, that people are going through beautiful changes by being there. And, the younger generation has moved in. They're very much running the place now, which is fabulous. And it's given a place for those people.
So you would recommend we move to communities out of your
No, I wasn't going
experience?
there. No. For those people for whom, as some people beautifully said, for whom that is their growthful step, great.
Some of us.
Create a community. For some people who feel that's their growth, that's great. And it is profoundly growthful. One teacher described it as being put in dirty potatoes put in a bucket of water, and all the potatoes rubbing against each other, you all get cleaned off. And it's really intensive process. It really is. Yeah, like marriage, exactly.
Okay.
A small community. So those people for whom that's growth and learning, wonderful.
Yeah.
But I so much agree with other things people have said about we need to be present to humanity. We need to be here and available.
Okay.
Communities, but can also function as a rest and regeneration center, where we can go get out of the hurly-burly of modern life. They're now one of the most popular retreats centers in California are digital retreat centers. No internet, no telephone, nothing. They're massively popular.
Yeah, they have Northern California.
Yeah, because people need to disconnect from all of that and get back in touch with
Actually, I was going there a few days before the event. Then they said, no internet, no cell phone. Then I said, how am I going to do the event without this stuff?
Right.
So I said, sorry, I'm not coming there.
But we really need to go from the internet to the internet. That's really what we're doing. And what I've always said about the internet, it's training wheels for telepathy.
Exactly.
And eventually at a point, it won't be an email address, it'll be a T-mail address.
Nice.
All you need is that.
Right on.
You just click in and you'll have your communication, and there you go.
There you go.
That's where I think we're going with that.
Lovely. Thank you. Dr. Shams.
So I love what everybody's been saying tonight. Absolutely. Love everything that people have been expressing here tonight. So we're all in the right place at the right time doing the right thing. What we're doing right now is exactly where we're supposed to be and what we're doing. Now, I actually spent 22 years in an ashram. So I've had some experience with community, yes. I lived under the tutelage of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. He was the guru of the Beatles and the guru of Deepak Chopra. And I was in his various ashrams for many, many years. I lived for 7 years in Europe. I was always in this community. And that was perfect for me at that time. And now what I'm doing is perfect for me right now. And I would like everybody to look inside themselves and discover what is perfect for you in each and every moment. And how you do that is by listening to the divine voice within you. And I think the most important skill that we can learn is to learn how to listen to that higher self, that inner voice, which guides us, and to be led by Spirit with a capital S in everyday life, and to follow that guidance. So perhaps at some time in your life you may be guided to join a community, or maybe even begin a community. Start your own, as you were guided to do. At another time in your life, perhaps you will be guided to be extremely active in the world, maybe to be an activist of some kind in some kind of cause that you believe in. Or perhaps you'll be guided to write a book, or to teach, or to educate the young, or whatever it is that you are guided personally to do. That is the best thing for you at that particular time. But the key is to follow your heart, to follow Spirit, and to connect with that inner divinity, with that true divine presence within you, which is the heart of God, which is the heart of love, the ocean of love within you. When you connect with that, and you do that on a daily basis, and just ask the simple question, what is guidance for me today? What is highest wisdom for me at this time? And to ask Spirit a lot of questions, and to follow what you're guided. Now, you know, it isn't really that difficult to connect with Spirit. All you have to do is just take a few deep breaths and get quiet and still and centered within yourself. And maybe even take some more deep breaths and get even more quiet. And get into a state of deep inner peace and relaxation. And then the key, though, is to do something that most people don't do when they're in that state of inner peace and blissfulness. And that is to start asking questions of Spirit. To ask. You know, Jesus said, ask and it shall be given unto you. The entire premise of what I teach is that one sentence, ask and it shall be given unto you. So by asking the question, asking for guidance, ask what is highest wisdom for me at this time, and ask very specific questions of Spirit. Ask for advice about specific problems in your life. And then not just listen to what you receive, but actually to take action on what you receive, which is the most challenging thing, because it's easy to open to Spirit. It's not that difficult to learn how to distinguish between that true divine voice and other voices in your mind. You can learn how to do that. I have a whole, actually, 10-test method for doing that. The challenging part is to, when you get the guidance, to actually do as you're told, to actually follow what Spirit tells you to do, because you'll often be guided to do things that are very challenging. You know, you might be guided to go into that river with the logs and to have to go through all these challenges, and that's part of the process for you individually. So I believe that being led by Spirit, being led by your own higher self, being led by your true nature of being, by who you really are, getting in contact with who you really are, and expressing your individual creative genius, expressing your own individual gifts and talents. That's the best thing you can possibly do to raise consciousness on this planet and to bring up everybody with you to the highest consciousness.
Yes, thank you. Yes, be true to you, walk your talk. It's time to take action. This is an amazing panel to create the whole perspective. And last but not least, Alan.
So my mind is being brought to the super psychic kids of China and the rest of the world right now. We've heard stories of these higher spirits that can tap into this all-knowing place, that have access to what we're calling the bio-internet as well. You know, where, you know, from what I hear, the way these kids see the world, it's almost like a virtual screen in their head that taps them into this whatever they want to know. It's like the non-physical Google. It's asking the genie, that search engine of the universe, like any question you want answers to, and up it comes on the screen, right into your brain in a language that your thoughts understand, either visual or metaphorically. And I think all of us are going to have that ability when we believe that we can. Is part of the key, is the belief that it's possible to know all things, that it's not just what our brains have been taught, what trivia we picked up from our schools and regular life. It's about what our wisdom can tap into, and that we can be and have and know everything in the universe because we're part of that infinite creation. And infinity is a big, big, big responsibility to live in. And so we're growing into this higher place of self where we can do anything potentially. And what we want to be the most is in bliss. And that's what matters most to each and every one of us, is to follow your bliss, to find what makes you the most blissful, and that's for you to do. And then the next moment you repeat that cycle and keep on seeking for the bliss in that moment. So that's what being a fifth dimensional being is to me.
Yeah. We're integrating with our higher selves. You are your own guru. Ask a lot of questions. Use your spiritual discernment. And we want to check the time, and then we want to take some questions from the audience. Right, the last avatar is after this. Another question?
It's said that in order to meet the requirements to transcend from 3D to 5D requires an internal balance between our masculine and feminine. How does that apply in any way with gay and lesbian?
We all have an inner masculine and feminine inside all of us, and we're here to balance and honor that in ourselves. I think our genders have been so polarized on this planet, which is part of the problem. It separates the brain. So we're all just fragmented. So did anybody have, yes?
I think it's just a balancing act. I mean, we attract a complement that really meets our needs on whatever level. I mean, it doesn't matter about same-sex relationships because there might be qualities in a person that help balance out the feminine side or the masculine side. And so when people think of sacred union and they're only thinking of, opposite sex, I just don't agree that that's a requirement. I think love is love. And we do whatever we can to find balance in this world. And we have our reasons for, I wouldn't say having things off balance or it's an imbalance, but just like food. I mean, I'm not the kind of person that's going to tell people what to eat. I might have my preferences. I might have my philosophies and my viewpoints. But when it comes to love, love is love. So my opinion is embrace it. Seek, healthy communication and partnership, and honor the relationship and the sexual energy is sacred. And that honoring is going to protect both individuals. It's going to help them to find that sanctuary within the connection. And with all the projections in the world, which I think have passed, they're not really there. I think most of it is, of course, taught. I think racism, feminism, and all that, all these sort of movements, even the New Age movement, there's a lot of manipulation there. And so I just feel when two people come together and they love each other, they're balancing each other. And it's either an ingrained preference or it's something that they might just fall into because it makes sense to them, because love doesn't require it to be a certain gender. And so I just think love is sacred. And the more we honor our sexual energy as sacred as well, and take better responsibility for our kundalini and the way we run that energy and power in the world, it's going to clean up the planet a lot. It's going to create more opportunities to create alchemy and more opportunities to be very grounded into the earth and very expansive, because we're restoring the 12-tree grid in our DNA. and love and the balancing of the masculine and feminine play a huge role. And that balance actually brings in source energy in a much easier way, which allows that energy to generate into our life. And so when we work on that internal balance within ourselves, we can't help but attract a complement to that instead of the neediness or the plugging into somebody because you feel that you're missing something. So I think those things need to be addressed, is the work on the self. And I think if we all really honor, sexual energy and relationship as sacred, it's going to create an exorcism on the planet, because I think that's where we're most targeted, and that's what we grew up, watching, and it's been encouraged, and it's creating a lot of extra density that doesn't need to be there. So.
I'm sorry. I look at female and masculine, feminine as archetypal. When I say that, I mean it's really essentially the outward flow of energy, the inward flow of energy, which creates the duality of this hologram. It's like the outward flow of the ocean wave crashes on the shore. That's the masculine going out, and the feminine comes back. And what you get in the middle is the foam, and that's where the bubbles come from. But there are no male bubbles and female bubbles. They're bubbles.
I don't believe that balancing, quote unquote, of your masculine and feminine is a prerequisite to spiritual awakening and transcendence. The only thing that our job is, as far as transcendence, is to realize God, to experience God. And God is pure love. God is neither masculine nor feminine in its ultimate form, although there are masculine and feminine deities, that's true. But God in its transcendent form is neither male nor female. So everyone can realize God, no matter gay, straight, male, female, no matter what you are, you can experience that divine presence, and you can experience divine love. You can experience the waves of divine love, the streams of divine light, and the grace of the divine presence.
Eternal divine love is who we really are. And forgiving the masculine and feminine, forgiving the men in your life, forgiving the women in your life can actually heal the organs in your body which regulate all your hormones. So it's the key to healing, is forgiving each other and ourselves.
Hi, so one of the reasons why I came to this event, I've been doing a lot of self-work. And so I just actually did an ayahuasca ceremony. And a lot of the things that I've heard you all talk about are, for me personally, some of the things that ayahuasca does for you. But what ayahuasca does not do is that magic button that does everything for you without you doing the work. So it connects you on those levels, and that's why a lot of people are initially interested in doing a ceremony, so they can go to the 5D or the 7D and see that. But I'm getting to what my question is. I really am. So what a lot of people, when they connect, they want to go, they want to drink, and then they don't want to come home and do the work. So that's why I believe these plants are now, that have been around for hundreds of years, are now becoming popular in the West, because we need to go to the 5D and above. What I want to ask the panel is, what roles do you all play? Because I know there's a lot of work we need to do, but what roles do you see plants playing and helping people connect and reach the 5D and higher? And I'm not talking hallucinates, I'm talking true medicine.
Foods are the blocks for chemical building, and the mind can create any chemical in the universe. The mind. Somebody dies. You're at a funeral, you're crying. The phone rings, and immediately you stop crying, because you're not creating the chemicals that make it cry. So it's the mind. The food might be ayahuasca. You're not going to change. You're just going to see a new, I think, image of what you've been thinking about anyway. And drugs have been around a long time. Coke, marijuana, ayahuasca, and the shamans taking you on journeys. But now look at America. Most of it, pot, and the first part of the country, you were mandated to grow hemp plants when you came to America. It was the black people's way out of slavery too, in some way. This is some program I saw on television. Whoa, this is an interesting marijuana show. But really, you don't need drugs to get there. Drugs can make you relax and accept what you're seeing, maybe, but it's still you.
There's no substitute for direct doing the work.
Right. Okay, so this is the hippie from the 60s. I was there. I was the love child. I'm from the love generation. I was in Haight-Ashbury in 1966. I was there. 1967, the summer of love. So I did it all. Okay, so DMT, ayahuasca, the essential component of ayahuasca is DMT, dimethyltryptamine. And dimethyltryptamine is a very intense hallucinogenic, or shall we say psychedelic drug. And it does take you to other dimensions, to things hidden from view, to other worlds, to see beings that are not physical, to visit these other realms, whatever realm that happens to be, whether it's on a celestial plane or an astral plane or whatever plane it is. In 2013, Rick Strassman and his Cottonwood Research Group made a stunning discovery. They found out that rodents, who are our cousins, who are mammals, are producing endogenously, that means self-inducing, DMT. They're producing it in their pineal gland. So that means human beings are too. We naturally produce DMT. That's why the third eye, which is seated in the pineal gland, has always been thought of throughout the ages of being the center of illumination, of higher consciousness, of being able to see, hear, and feel things that are hidden from view. We can do it naturally. I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying. We do not need drugs. We can have these experiences. All we have to do is ask for them. And by the way, were you the one that was talking about, you were talking about instant manifestation. The closer you are to spirit, and the closer that your desires and wants are for spiritual things, the faster the manifestation takes place. If you ask in meditation for a spiritual experience, it will instantaneously come, and you don't need drugs to do that.
Yeah, it's amazing how magical life is when you let it, right? There's all these synchronicities and symbols appearing. It's an amazing time to be alive.
Thank you. I have a question, and I'd like it if each of you could answer, so it might have to be brief, but I'm sure it's on a lot of our minds about the lunar eclipse this Sunday and into Monday. And online, of course, there's everything about it from, whatever version of reality you want. And I'm just wondering what your thoughts are, and if there isn't what people thought in their reality, if there's going to be a disappointment like there was after 2012.
Right, this is the first wave of ascension this weekend. David chose this weekend just intuitively.
It's going to be exactly what you think it's going to be. Everyone in this room is a creator, and you're connected to God and Source and infinite intelligence. So whatever it is you want it to be, choose it to be, believe it to be, it is going to be. And you will resonate with all of those who are being that way as well. I wanted to thank that gentleman for bringing up that question about balance. And what I was receiving about that is balance is exactly what was happening in this room when he asked that question. Because everybody lit up with a thought, a feeling, a this or a that, a judgment, and it was perfect. And that's what the universe is constantly doing, is balancing itself with all its different facets. So thank you for bringing that up. And just going back to you, it's exactly what you're going to need it or want it or choose it to be. Thank you.
Yeah, I have to say that's definitely, the truth. And I mean, we hear so much about the waves of ascension, then we hear about, oh, there's going to be cataclysms this week, and I'm just like, okay, and I don't even care. It's like, you know, bring the meteor on. Like, we're going to wake up somewhere, you know. It's like, it just gets ridiculous. I mean, because we're beyond death anyway. We have a consciousness that goes into those dimensions. Anyway, this particular lunar eclipse, though, the energy of lunar eclipse lasts for about 6 months. So a lot of the stuff that we focus on and a lot of the stuff that happens during this time tends to linger for a lot longer than, you know, if it were just like a regular full moon. There's 2 asteroids that are involved, Vesta, which has to do with all or nothing sort of stuff. It's kind of like if something's trying to get into your sacred space or you're not in agreement to something, you're not going to have anything to do with it. It has a lot to do with being a guardian to the sacred energies of life. Juno is another asteroid connected to it that has to do with collaborations and sacred union. And because the polarity of this particular moon is Aries and Libra, we are finding a deeper sense of self in terms of, are we being too selfless in our partnerships, or are we being too self-absorbed? And what is the health and nature of the relationships that we're in? And because of Vesta and Juno, it's going to be very hard for anybody to waste their time with a partner or a person or a friendship or a business collaboration that isn't in full alignment with your mission, your purpose, and what matters most to you. So it is what we'll make of it, but I think we'll find that there's a big theme connected to our partners or people that might be potential partners, and a time of either editing or integrating, you know, important relationships to take them to the next level.
Tommy Smothers.
Okay, so I apologize. I'm going to jump back to Brooke's question about the ayahuasca. I had a woman who was doing ayahuasca ceremony every week. And then she took her 77-year-old mom to do ayahuasca. Like, she was on an ayahuasca journey. And she still ended up coming to me to remove the blocks that she was the blocks that she was having during the ayahuasca. So you can see that place, but you can't get there until you actually remove the blocks. So I just thought that was an important piece, and yes. Yes. So there was a very real experience where that just recently occurred. And then after we did our session, she was able to continue on her ayahuasca without the blocks, but she had to do the work.
Calculate sunrise, calculate sunset. Depending on your latitude and longitude, will you see it at a different time? The eclipse starts in the East Coast. It also will come over to the West Coast. It's something that happens because it's like the prophet. If I calculate it, it's going to happen. If it didn't happen, we're in trouble. All right? So this moon is coming. The cycles have been there. They repeat, and they'll continue throughout the whole cycle of as long as the Earth is accompanied by the moon in its orbit around the sun.
So there's no substitute for doing the work, and we're here to fulfill our purpose on the planet. All of you have a very specific mission. It's no accident that you're all here. Someone have a burning question? We only got one more. She's been asking for a long time.
I make it short. I wanted to thank you all. It was fascinating to hear you all. But from my own experience, being from another part of the planet, being from Iran, and coming here when the country started to be upside down, not being in the war, living here, but having the parents being there, and hearing how the war started and the people got killed and everything, and not being able to visit my parents for 10 years. And the question is, I really love to apply everything you said in my life. I can't. Every time I see the news, the war, the killing, ISIS beheaded the people, cut the head off I'm trying to switch it off, but it comes back to me. What can
Of course, this world is the craziest psychopathic science fiction movie that you've ever seen. Truth is stranger than fiction. It's horrific, but the quest is to see the bigger picture. Remember who you really are as an eternal, powerful spiritual being. The Dalai Lama can go and forgive the Chinese people for destroying his country. There's a perfection in it all somehow, but it starts within you, and start loving yourself and forgiving yourself for creating this. The universe is a projection of our minds. So it starts with forgiving ourselves for creating this madness and start loving the one who did.
Very quickly, the key thing is if you're not strong enough to withstand that assault of negativity, turn off the television. And don't read the newspapers. Instead, focus. It's as important what we take in through the media, through movies, books, and television, everything else, more important than what we eat. Way more important in terms of our consciousness and where we are in the day-to-day focus. And just get yourself to places and with people who can help you raise your consciousness and be in that higher space. And keep doing that until that's so ingrained in you that then you can watch, if you have to, watch a little bit of it, if you need to. But most of us don't need to, And it's actually quite masochistic at this point.
It's called programming for a reason. So we have to wrap it up. But continue on your journey. Have a daily practice of getting quiet and asking.
Hey, Saeed, it's Sharon.
And remembering who you really are and following your purpose. What's that?
Nice. I just want to say this real quick. We have to remember that we, as a unity, as a unified humanity that we're building here and being examples of, we're like the global immune system. So the more we strengthen our bonds and our unity and our love frequency, the less these parasitic negative energies are going to be able to rule on this planet. We have to understand the same laws apply to our physical body as it does to this organism, Earth. So turn off the TV and keep your consciousness high, knowing that your high vibration is going to make a difference to wiping that stuff out. Because we can't brush it under the carpet, but we can expand beyond it.
And it is our interpersonal interactions that will create peace on earth, too. It's our practice. It's how we deal with conflict within ourselves and in our communities is how we deal with the larger conflicts. So it's about share the light, be the love, be an example, love yourself, realize that everybody's weird and wounded, get over your shame, forgive yourself, communicate, express yourself, and understand each other. Be able to take constructive criticism and be able to give it. Be on a journey of self-exploration. This is a strange and beautiful times. I'm so grateful that all of you came. Thank you so much. And to all this amazing panel of beautiful beings and teachers, we're so honored to have you here. Thank you. And thank you, David, for hosting us all. Carry on. Annelise.
Eisenhower, Linsteadt, Fruzsina, Varga,
Okay, it's lost and found? Here? It's in here? Okay. Woohoo! We have a little lost and found right here. If you've lost trinkets, you can see if they're here. And there's a screening of the last Avatar movie in here right now. There's also a singles mixer, a spiritual dating in the bar. There's some interacting. It's a mixer. Jill Crosby is just, even if you're not single, go say hi to her. She's so wonderful.
We are here waiting
and
for you.
otherwise,
Bye.
we'll see you tomorrow as well, hopefully.